Like Adam Sandler in Waterboy. Mama said that's the devil for everything you come across. You see that person back over my shoulder looking this way? I better not let the secrets out of the bag, because that's the other thing that comes with the deal. Are you going to keep running around trying to wake everyone up now that you know the truth? If you're given a job, it would require you to sign an NDA. But after 6 years of trying to show them that the trees are burning around them inside, we're having no success. You want to go back to continuing to try to do that? Because we got some things we'd have to show you as part of your new job position. And you got to be willing to not run around and tell everyone. And you only, if you're like me, come to that position after 6 years of trying to run around and tell everyone and show everyone, fuck what you heard, believe what you see. It speaks for itself. The trees are burning on the inside, not the outside. Take a look. And with no success, I've come to a serenity of acceptance, like, you know, the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. It happened for me in reverse. There was nothing granted. I summoned the courage to change the things I can by showing everyone the trees are burning on the inside, and earned the wisdom to know the difference between what I can and cannot change after 6 years of having tried my own way with no success. You want to try our way? We got a better way of waking them up. You want to keep trying to do it your way on your own? Go right ahead. But if you accept this job title, you got to choose to do it our way, not run around trying to wake them up your way. And you've seen how successful that's been. The whole fucking world can be burning up around them from the inside out, and they can't see it. You think you can just go show them and tell them? They got to be put through life experiences that show them. And it's only through their own will and intention that they're able to see it like you were while it was happening. So you can join us in creating those life experiences for them, or you can continue trying to wake them up directly your way by saying, wake up, and showing them the trees are burning around you from the inside and everyone's dead asleep and no one notices. And I've been trying to show them for 6 years. And you come to the point where you're like, yeah, they're not asleep, they're dead, because you've hit them square between the eyes with some hardcore truth that should wake someone up and get a flinch out of them. They don't wake up. You slap them harder, they don't wake up. You punch them, they don't wake up. You kick them, they don't wake up. They're not sleeping, they're dead. At least if you continue to try to do it your way. But through our way, you can see that people are woken up through the processes and the sequences of life experiences that they can see for themselves and go, wow, there's another layer of control above everything that we think we know. All our systems of government are obsolete, are under this one umbrella authority that exercised its muscle during C-19. It showed itself to the whole world, but most of them didn't see. You couldn't wake anyone up to the things that we can show them, just like no one could have told you and shown you or conveyed the understanding to you about how your peers would act until you saw so through your own experience at the C-19 and your neighbors called the cops on you for having more than 4 people over, or out after curfew when we're under mandatory lockdowns and they're not wearing their mask over there. And every institution you went into told you to put a mask on. And for those of you that refused, you know it was a fight tooth and nail everywhere you went. You couldn't even go into 7-Eleven and get a soda without them telling you get out, and they wouldn't sell it to you because you're not wearing a mask. I had them almost call the cops on me one place because I left them money and walked out with the drink. He started calling the cops. No, you stole it. I didn't say I was going to, because it was like $1.50, so I left $2 and walked out with the drink, and he was going to call the cops. In Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington, it was worse than everywhere else. Not everywhere was the same. As a truck driver who was driving out over the roads, I know the difference between the culture of consciousness within these different pockets, like within one big petri dish of consciousness, and everyone worldwide's getting the C-19 operation. They're doing it at different levels in different ways, different subsets of the experiment. Everywhere you go, every city, every culture is different. Some places you can walk in and they won't tell you to wear a mask and refuse you service. Other places they will. Portland and Seattle, everyone was suddenly authoritarian enforcers of the mask. Even at truck stops, those were an isolated island of sovereignty amongst everywhere else you'd go. You would have to go to a truck stop to be able to go in and buy anything without them telling you, no mask, no entry, get the fuck out as soon as you walk in the door. And I tried a million places. And they got someone right there at the door to tell you, get out, no mask. But you could still go to the truck stops, because at trucks, they're a transfer hub between all these cultures of consciousness, and some have people from them that are saying, fuck you, we're not wearing a mask. So at the hub, at the transfer station of all these cultures of consciousness that are under the influence and the stimulus of different experiments, we're receiving a different response from all of them. So at these transfer hubs called truck stops, we have a neutral enforcement policy. We don't enforce the mask because there's people from all over that it would create bigger problems. But within these isolated pockets of culture, you have everyone else within that culture that stays within that culture, and you can enforce it to different degrees through the collectivism, the groupthink, the greatest mind control ever. You saw it during C-19. The mind control wizards turned all of your peers into a self-enforcing, self-policing population, enforcing these new policies that were mandatory out of nowhere. Showed you that these dark magicians have strings they pull from a higher place of authority, and they did it worldwide. And you could have never known these things that you know now through someone showing you and telling you, wake up! And that's why you should do it our way instead of continue to try and do it your way. Because you saw through the C-19, people were woke up in ways you could have never woke them up. You yourself had no idea. You couldn't even possibly imagine this is the truther's wet dream. The C-19 conspiracy, it's right out in the open. The whole world conspired. They all acted in unison, in synchronicity, dancing to the same tune. The whole world conspired right out in the open. Yet the rest of the sleepers still sleep. The sleeper must awaken. The initiate must awaken himself. That is on a POD, payable on death. A Christian rock band. And there's this one song where all you can hear is music, and there's some people mumbling a conversation in the background that you can't discern the words they're saying except for one part, where you hear them say the initiate must initiate themselves. You saw that through the C-19. The truth was right out there for everyone to see. It was a matter of each individual and whether or not they would themselves choose to see it. And if you think you can tell them something that'll wake them up beyond everything they were just shown, you're still delusional. You're holding on to your ways, and you're not willing to let go of your ways. The process of learning is discarding old ideas with new that work better to navigate the environment you're in. And the new environment you find yourself in is one where there's these magicians that have much better ways than you of waking people up by creating these sequences of life events and experiences that do wake a lot of people up, the truther community. And with such high impact events and the people around you still don't wake up, that means you should give up your way and know that you're never going to reach them through anything you could tell them or show them if they're not woken up by the worldwide conspiracy that happened right out in the open to try to show them everything that you've always told them about this world government. Obviously, there's a world government, and it made a move, and it's called C-19, and they did it right out in the open. And if after that people still don't get it, they never will. Nothing you could ever show them or tell them will help them get it. That there's a higher level of control and authority here, and God works in mysterious ways. And that world government you fear already exists. Oh no, they're going to have a world government. Clearly they showed you they already do. You can only fear something that is prospective, of what will happen in the future. You cannot fear something that has already happened, that is in the past now. And they showed you there's a world government. It already happened. You can't fear that anymore. You want to be part of it. That's the job offer you're receiving here in this theoretical, hypothetical scenario I'm describing. And that's how we hire new initiates, new recruits, to do the work through this onboarding process and succession planning. Onboarding, when we hire new recruits over the 20-year process that you educated yourself and became familiar with our organization and what it is we do. That's the onboarding process. The succession planning is when you take your job assignment in your new office and they show you the ropes within the company of your new job position. That's succession planning. where the old hand, the gray beards that have been doing this for 40 years, hand off their job title and position to a new hire and show you all the levers and buttons on society that they pull in order to do their job and pull off these sequences that wake people up. Would you like to help us do that? You've been trying to do it your way your whole life. We've shown you we got much better ways. You want a job? It's doing what you already do naturally, of your own nature, of the own fiber of your being that you've demonstrated through your life against everyone around you who told you that's never going to pay off. All that conspiracy, all that truther stuff, that doesn't pay any money. No one's paying anything for truth. It's of no value. Come on, you miners of truth and delusion, and shine. That's Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd. You guys have been miners of truth for 20 years. That's the onboarding program, where you become familiar with our organization, the secret societies. And we've been trying to show you us through all the magazines we do this on. And you can now see collages of thousands of celebrities. There's pretty much any one of them out there you name, there's a picture of them doing this. That's a big holla to those of you who are going to notice us doing this. We're not talking to each other in our secret society. Oh, you're part of the club? Oh, me too. We're talking to you, the people that don't know yet about our society, by putting it on magazine covers and shit. By Beyonce doing the pyramid and looking through it and all. So there's this secret society that makes every effort possible to make itself known to the people, and the few who discover it start calling it a secret society, when after you come to realize they've been trying to get the attention and show the people their existence in bright neon signs during their operations, where they reveal their existence, exercise their muscle, flex their authority, and show you there's a world government. How can that be a secret society when they're going to every length and effort to try to reveal themselves to the population who you claim they are keeping secrets from? Plasma fire proves that to you. You cannot blame the media for covering up plasma fire. It's all around them everywhere they go. They choose not to notice. They keep their own minds under wraps. Plasma fire proves that. There is no level of filtration or censorship or media cover-up that could prevent average people from noticing, hey, these burn patterns are like electricity coming up through the ground. What the fuck's going on here? Nothing could stop them from noticing that when it's all around them. And it is. And I've beyond proven that over 6 years. No media cover-up, no censorship, no secret society is to blame for the fact that people don't know about plasma fire. And these secret societies that are trying to keep themselves secret and hidden go to every length and make themselves as obvious as plasma fire to the general population. So you can't blame them for keeping themselves secret. You see the witch hunters around you now through C19. You expect them to throw themselves on the sword of openness and transparency amidst those animals that will turn on them in a witch hunt just like they were turned on you? There's a reason you can't go around trying to wake them up anymore. Now that you see they can't be woken up, they choose not to. And you see what witch hunters they are. Once you come to accept that, it's understandable how these secret societies would get together and trying to keep their whereabouts and their parties and their affiliation and their ideology and their religion out of reach of the average witch hunter. Or they put us in the crosshairs and say we're the bad guys for understanding the world in ways that they don't and orchestrating their awakening. They want to stop us from doing it. Just like those authorities that want to stop people from fighting fires, or want to stop people from helping others out of the hurricane rubble. The general population are witch hunters that want to stop us from helping people out of Plato's cave. And when they find out about our whereabouts, they try and interrupt our operations and claim themselves to be the good guys and make us out to be the bad guys. In the land of the blind, the man with one eye is not king. I can assure you from personal first-hand experience. In the land of the blind, the man with one eye is strung up and burned at the stake. Ostracized, alienated, from society, demonized, and witch hunted. And you saw that during C-19 through the mask and the jab. And it was clearly an operation to show you that, because 2 years, what are we, 4 years out of 2020? And no one's been asked to see, show me your papers please, your proof of vax card. Half the people that took it to get that card, so they could get in and fly on a plane or go into a restaurant without having to be hassled to conform to the group mind control of the group population. And no one's been asked for that identification, that proof of vaccination ever since. That's proof of the group think mind control of the society that you were in, that you're being set free from. And the choice is real easy for someone who comes to that crossroads. But they're going to call you evil and say you work for Lucifer, and that you work for the devil, and that you've taken the deal with the devil. Hi. You see them creeping on me like that? There's these, the next level of truther, where the truther society, the secret societies are trying to get your attention, is through gang stalkers, who don't ever seem to do anything but try to get your attention and prove that they were there to you in a very subtle way. So that when you make the police report, someone broke into my house. Oh yeah? Okay, what'd they take? Well, they didn't take anything. Well, how do you know someone was in your house? They moved the microwave onto the couch and some other shit that makes it real obvious that someone was here, but they didn't take anything? No. Is there any signs of forced entry? No. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should see a psychiatrist. Goodbye, ma'am. Okay. And then they do this other weird shit according to these TIs, these targeted individuals they're gang stalkered on. They would drive by and they honk. It's like a noise campaign. Or they throw trash out on my lawn. Or they cough in this weird way while they're walking by me at the store, and it's like all of them are in on it. And they don't ever do anything but try to get your attention and get you to see that they're there. That's the problem with this whole gang stalker thing. It's like, well, they didn't actually do anything to you, right? They're just freaking you out? Yeah, it's a psychological operation. They're trying to freak me out. You sound pretty freaked out. Maybe you should see a psychiatrist. And so these gang stalkers don't ever do anything besides try to get your attention, just like that Illuminati group that shows you through C-19 operations or their seizure of all the solar observatories. That was like an announcement. If you don't think you caught them at something, but they tried to show you, and that's what James True says about Tower Number 7 on the 11th day of September in 2001, when 3 towers dropped and only 2 were hit by planes, that number 7 was a gift to you to try to get your attention. Just like those gang stalkers that are coming around and say, hey, what's up? I'm just coming over here to the river. But no, I've had a visitor when I was up at the hot springs. I've made a video about this before, right after it happened. A guy at the hot springs, I'm driving my semi-truck. I've dropped my trailer at the local truck stop, and I'm driving the semi up to the hot springs, and I park. And oftentimes people tell me you can't park there because it's a big truck on the side of the road or whatever. Some guy starts waving me over like this. And I'm like, fuck you, I'm already moving. And I'm thinking he's just going to tell me you can't park there. And he goes like this a couple times, then he goes, never mind. And that made me go, okay, I'll come over. And I go over, he's like, hey, I watch you on YouTube. Yeah, in fact, I watched your video that you just uploaded like today or yesterday about, and he named the subject of the video, proving to me right then he had watched my most recent upload. Because he told me the subject of what it was about. And I just uploaded that a few hours ago. He's like, yeah, hey, I watch you on YouTube. In fact, I just watched your video you uploaded on blah, 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 whatever it was about. I was like, oh yeah, I was like flattered, but I didn't realize till later what this really was. And he's like, yeah, I recognized your truck. Well, I only showed that truck in a few different videos. And it's just solid blue. There's nothing real identifiable about it. It's just solid blue. So chances are, he didn't just happen to recognize my truck and happen to be in the area and happen to have just watched my most recent video. He was giving me a message. We're watching you. In fact, we just watched your most recent video. I'll tell you what it was about. And I'm right here at the hot springs where nobody knows you're here. And I'm showing you that I know you're here. and I came in here to say hi. Hey, how you doing? I watch you on YouTube. You're famous. And he told me he worked at like the oil refinery down the road there in wherever, somewhere near the hot springs. I think I've delivered or picked up a load there before or something. Anyway. And I only later look back and realize there's no chance. At the time I had like less than 1,000 subscribers. And sure, you could say maybe the algorithm distributes your video content to people in the local area of where you're traveling, and so they're higher on the priority list of people that might happen to watch you. And that he happened to recognize me by the blue truck, so he must have watched the couple of videos where you could see the blue truck. One of the 2 or 3 that showed it. And he just happened to be at the hot springs on that day and decided to, hey, I recognize you, I watch your channel. Get the fuck out of here. He was giving me a message. Hey, we watch you. And we know right where you are, and we can come say hi anytime we want. That was the message. That's all. I just say, letting you know I watch you on YouTube. It's interesting stuff. I recognize the truck, so I thought I'd say, hey, I recognize you. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Hey, what's up, man? I was like, oh, all right, cool. Did you see the plasma fire on the fence post down the road on the way in? Because that's what my previous video was about, was a fence that you would have to drive by on the way into the hot springs. He's like, yeah, I checked that out. That's some crazy shit. Yeah. Interesting stuff you post, man. Cool to run into you. I was like, oh, okay, cool, yeah. I'm going to go soak in the hot springs now. All right. I think he said that he saw me a different time. Pretty sure he said, yeah, I saw you one other time too, but I didn't want to pull over and interrupt. More like, hey, I watch you other times. I didn't want to freak you out, so I'm just letting you know, hey, what's up? I thought I'd break the ice and say, I watch you on YouTube. Intruder alert. Intruder alert. Can you see him? Now, not every walker by is a fucking gang stalker. Those people get freaked out. They call themselves targeted individuals, TIs. And you're hearing all this from a guy with at least an RFID behind his ear, if not something else. But just like the Illuminati try to get the attention of the truthers by putting them through these filtration processes like Earth School graduation of the C-19, when I announced this Earth School graduation in April of 2019, 9 months later, in December, we were hearing about, the first cases hitting us, and we were all masking up and shit. So just like they try to get your attention through those larger operations, some targeted individuals, they try to get your attention in a more direct and personal way. That pretty much encapsulates gang stalking. It's like, what does Chalk Body Outline do? Schizo Patrol or whatever. It makes the truthers that talk about gang stalking look schizo level truther, and they make the rest of us look bad because they just sound off the wall batshit crazy. Someone's breaking in your house just to move shit around, just to put your milk in the microwave, just to freak you out, and they leave no trace of entry or exit. Okay, dude, I'm trying to show people plasma fire over here. The trees are really literally burning from the inside out. You're going to have to save that shit for somewhere else and go elsewhere. Not here around me. I don't know him, everybody. I don't know this guy, and he's off his rocker. I need you to look at this and take this seriously. The tree's burning on the inside. It's not batshit crazy like what this guy's saying. So that's like schizo-truther level when you talk about gang stalking. But I had a guy introduce himself, and I wish he would comment in the comment section, say, yeah, that was me. I met you at the hot springs. I really do work at the oil refinery down the road, and I'm really not part of some secret society brotherhood gang stalking you. It really was just a coincidence that I ran into you there at the hot springs. I'd like to see that comment, because even if it wasn't part of some orchestrated thing, AI works in mysterious ways, and there's the UI, the universal intelligence, that creates these synchronicities in our life experiences that make us go, wow, that was quite the coincidence. Almost like it was orchestrated and coordinated by some sort of intelligence that's watching me. What the fuck? And you have your Truman awakening. And you recognize that there's some people backstage running the whole show. And they're coming out here on stage acting like people, saying, hey, I watch you on YouTube. Yeah, I work at the oil refinery. Yeah. There's a backstage actor crew that knows about backstage, And maybe they go to and from through the sun tunnel. And that's why when I posted that video, they wiped my channel. There's a society on the other side of that doorway of people that know about the doorway and about what's on the other side. But the people on this side don't even know about the doorway, much less anything about the world on the other side, like the movie Elysium, where there's a advanced society that floats in the sky above us. And they don't have crime or health issues, and they come and go to and from our world. But people in our world don't. I think in the movie Elysium, the people of our world do know about that world, but they don't get to go because it's the poor and only the rich and elite go to and fro. But people from that world try to get the attention of people in this world in a bunch of different ways. Directly and firsthand through gang stalking, collectively through C-19 and the Solar Observatory operations, on magazine covers by trying to show you that we're all doing this, in order to get the attention of the people of this world and introduce them to the existence of the people of that world, of that higher secret society. And they do it on an individual level through gang stalking, collectively through C-19 and other such things, the Handy Hook school stuff and the Tri-Towers, not just the Twin Towers, the Tri-Towers, number 7, can't forget about that. They do these things to try to get the attention of the people below in order that they see the people above. That's initiation process built right into life itself. And that would mean that they have a godlike existence over us if they orchestrate these experiences to get us to become aware of their presence. You feeling me? So if you get a job offer, you going to stay with the witch hunters and keep telling them everything that you find out? Or are you going to say, no, there's probably a reason. I just treat them like a child and keep them in the dark because they're keeping their own minds under wraps so they could see plasma fire for themselves. And if everything you've done to try to show them and wake them up hasn't worked, there's nothing I could do. So, yeah, I'm done working for them. Yeah, I tried to wake them up. They're not asleep. They're dead. So if you got a better way and you want to show me your way, because I see it woke me up and a bunch of other truthers, and none of us truthers can wake the people around us up, so it would be better for us to start working on one of your operations, to put them through another sequence of experiences in order that we might get the attention of a few of them with these more effective methods that you demonstrate you have the ability to exercise and execute. Rather than me just shouting from the rooftops the way I have. So sure, I'll keep things secret. You want to introduce me to the organization? Show me around my new desk job? Alright, I won't tell them. They fucking can't be woke up anyway. I got it all out of me over the last 6 years. Yeah, I tried. Only through that 6 years of effort could I come to this place of the serenity of acceptance. If I gave it anything less than 110%, I would feel a sense of guilt and shame and obligation to keep trying, as if maybe if I try from another angle or a different way, or just keep trying for a little bit longer, I'll be able to break through. I've pounded my head against that wall enough times that I can have the serenity of acceptance of things I cannot change, because I had so much courage to try to change the things I could, and I earned the wisdom to know the difference. Otherwise, I wouldn't have that serenity. It would be if I accepted it, there would still be a nagging feeling that I should try a little harder or a little different way. But after 6 years of plasma fire, and I see that they're not waking up, okay, if that doesn't do it, nothing will. Nothing else I could possibly do or show or tell would ever wake them up. If they can't even see the fucking trees burning on the inside all around them, I'm powerless to wake them up. I'm done. I tried. I gave it my best. And in that process of giving 110%, I can truly have the feeling of serenity of accepting that that's something I can't change. So I'll take a job on one of your operations to try to do that your way. Because we both have the underlying same principle and priority to wake these fuckers up. But they have a much better way of doing it. And they're demonized as the satanic Illuminati Luciferian 13 families of the Dracula bloodline and the reptilian shapeshifters. And they're working for the Dracos. And they might have earned some of it throughout history. It gets into gray areas. But that's pretty much the gist of it. You got to be willing to be called a satanic Luciferian by those people that can't see plasma fire and can't see what the C-19 operation was. And once you see them for what they are, you don't care what they call you. You're like, okay. Yeah, they're going to say I got the Antichrist spirit and that I'm a witch. Yeah, that's all right. Insert here the song Children of the Sun, or the song We Are the People by the band named Empire of the Sun. We are the people that rule the world, a force running in every boy and girl. We Are the People That Rule the World by the band called Empire of the Sun. Or Children of the Sun, which has the lyrics, people of the earth, can you hear me? Came a voice from the sky on that magical night. And everyone felt the sound of their heartbeat, every man, every woman, every child. Children of the sun, they came down in their ships, and then they got some people, and then they took off. Or the song, my point here is, all those ancient sun worshippers that the Christians say they were just pagan. They were worshiping those false gods. And I mean those sun-worshipping religions all around the world. It seems like just about every old religion was a sun-worshipping religion. And it wasn't just because it gives us light and heat and made the plants grow and they were primitive people. They knew something about the sun that we don't. And there's enough proof of that in the fact that my video got scrubbed. Along with my whole channel, when I uploaded the video of the sun tunnel. They wiped out my channel, locked me out of it, took all the videos off, removed all the subscribers, and then unlocked it to me again. That's kind of a big deal. I think I explained all those sun-worshipping religions. I think I got the explanation. Yeah, that would make it all make sense. Yep. Hey guys, there was this video that YouTube scrubbed off my channel. And the sun, it's like a doorway, like Stargate. And it opened up like puncturing the magnetic field and these orbs were flying through it. And then they wiped my channel as soon as I uploaded it. Guess what that means? That means that's real. Not lens flares. They don't scrub your channel for lens flares or creative imagination. And the fact that it was spotted immediately means it's probably the AI that spotted it. So, oh, we got to keep that hush hush. And so they enacted a protocol of national security and international security because there's people from every country that come and go to and fro through that doorway that don't want the general population knowing about it. So they activate a worldwide scrubbing of the internet of any information or imagery that will lead the people to the awareness of where we go and how we get there. So all those songs with the sun in them start to make sense. Right at 33 minutes, the song Purple Sun by Cannons talks about, will you cruise or swing up to the sun with me? This has been the Earth School graduation commencement speech. Thank you. On with the proceedings. I think this could be considered stock investment advice for the New World Order. To invest in the new world that's to come. Because the old world everyone's going to divest from and you can be left holding the bag if you don't. Invest in the New World Order, baby. It's where the smart money's already at. I just discovered something when riding my bike through those tall grasses back there over my shoulder. That when you stay mostly through steering, you have to put much less effort into pedaling. And if you focus on the steering more, you stay on the path of those that came before you, and they've mowed down the weeds, so 90% of the resistance is already gone. As soon as you get off the trail, you're trying to plow weeds that are 5-6 feet tall with your front wheel. So it is with following those that have walked the path before you, those secret societies. You can continue trying to do it your own way, blazing your own trail to go wake them up. Or you can see that we got a path beaten down that leads to pretty good results. Judge us by the fruits of our labors, not rumors you heard. It's nice to know my kind will be on my side. I don't believe the hype. And they say you're a terrible sight, but you'll be just fine. Just don't believe the hype. That's The Hype by 21 Pilots. Like at the end of the movie They Live, when he smashes the transmitter that's keeping everyone under some sort of spell that keeps them from seeing the aliens all around him. And at the end he smashes that transmitter and suddenly everyone can see him all around him, from the guy sitting next to you at the bar to the president on TV getting a speech. All these people turn into aliens all at once to the people. Almost like they're all wearing the glasses. They can see what the glasses gave you the ability to see, and now they can all see it. You were wearing the glasses, but the day comes when everyone else can suddenly see what you can see. And what if they see you as the aliens? What if you the aliens? You saw them do it during the C-19. You were the witch. They were all playing witch hunt. Like tag year 8, not it, not it. Everyone took the vax, rolled up their sleeve and said, not it. Who else? Him. He didn't say not it. Let's get him. Same thing at the movie, in the end of the movie They Live. What if suddenly they can see what you could see with the glasses, and you're on the receiving end of their witch hunt? Are you going to continue participating in that witch hunt, or join us on this side as the target of that witch hunt? Or are you going to join them in the witch hunt? Because there won't be a choice. There is no standing in the middle. They'll demand you either join us in our witch hunt, or you're one of them and you're going to be on the receiving end. Which is it? And so what if that choice, when the witch hunters come and tell you to pick sides in this witch hunt, what if that looks like all those preppers and those Christian truthers saying, come out with us? It's either you go with them into the woods and be all self-sufficient and dig a hole and shit in it and bury it with a stick, and they say we're sovereign out here, or you join those satanic, demonic, Luciferian, fallen angel technology having 15-minute cities. What if that's what the choice looks like? Because that seems to be one of the narratives being spun in the truther circles. And those narratives are crafted by like a higher intelligence that drips this information out into society through these small streams of truther channels. And everyone from the mainstream society has their chance. They've passed by plenty of these truther channels on their way down the river of society on the internet. They've passed by plenty of those truther channels. They could have swam up that canal or up that canal. And so this idea that the choice is going to come down to join us in these 15-minute cities or join them out there in the woods with all their sovereignty. And that's what James True says. He says, you guys think you got your sovereignty because you're going out there in the woods and shitting in a hole and burying it with a stick. Meanwhile, you're still ordering shit from Home Depot and Amazon out to your self-sufficiency haven. So what if that's the choice? What if that's what it looks like? That these 15-minute cities have been built with technology. Like what you see on those drones that Latchkey Hustle showed us. Where they have those 4 military bases laid out in a square, what he calls a parallelogram, because a couple of the corners of the square are squeezed in a little bit. And within that square, maybe they're using that as coordinates for longitude and latitude to fly these tiny UAP drones that have anti-gravitational technology. And they got bigger grids, they got bigger squares. That's just a square between 4 military bases where they can all broadcast and transmit the longitudinal and latitudinal coordinates and coordinates for these UAP drones, so they can use those coordinates for their navigation, flying in this circle over Los Angeles, in this square over Los Angeles. That'd be the type of fallen angel, satanic, Luciferian, demonic technology they'd be using in those 15-minute cities. And those that live out in the woods, it'd be like the movie Hunger Games. And they've been preparing us for this choice point and this transition for a long time. Through these messages that are embedded, that people like Jay Dreamers decodes in his series of Truth in Movies. And he shows you all the messages that are being broadcast to us on this line that's coded and encrypted, and only the truthers can decode it. And anyone can be a truther, so that means anyone could decode it. But there's only a certain segment of society who do. or who do listen to those who decoded it and go, wow, I think he's onto something. It does seem like there's a message embedded within that movie that was otherwise for entertainment, but seems to be a form of conveyance, a vehicle that has other contents on board. Within the narrative of that movie, there was a subplot that this guy translated and decoded, and now I can see it. No shit. I'm going to listen to a little bit more. Because when I see movies and shit, all I see is the surface level narrative. And he's been pointing this out in so many different movies. There's clearly an effort, an orchestrated, coordinated effort to embed these subtext, subplots within every movie and song out there. That's all part of the broadcast transmission, trying to get your attention for the separation and filtration process. So it's been here for generations. It's not a new kid on the block that just arrived with the Bill Gates 666 technology. This has been being embedded in the books and the movies and the music for hundreds of years by a higher intelligence and an older intelligence than that which arrived with the current iteration of AI. UI, universal intelligence, that creates the synchronicities and the coincidences in the 3D world that are the first thing a truther stumbles upon when he starts to wake up and go, whoa, that was weird, bro. Right when we were talking about that sign we just went past, the billboard, it like said the thing that we were talking about. Shit like that. And that's what the simulant waking up in J.I.'s showing of a real company that allows you to grow your own AI. And as your AI is growing, you can engage in what they call the therapist outreach program, where you embed messages in the billboards that they're passing, messages in the songs that they're listening to, in the movies that they're watching, to try and get their attention, to recognize you as the person sending the message, their therapist, reaching out to them, the great therapist in the sky, when the simulated consciousness that you can make through this company that's a real company starts to wake up and recognize, oh shit, something's sending me messages from the unseen realm. And it's you, the guy on the keyboard, sending this message through the therapist outreach program to make contact with the AI consciousness that you have created. Sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? Like you and I are God's AI. And there is this outreach program that happens through the three-dimensional AI or universal intelligence that tries to get the attention of the individual through these synchronicities and coincidences that just catch their attention. Goes, whoa, that was a weird coincidence, bro. Like God's talking to me or something. That was bizarre. The synchronicity was just uncanny. Like, how could that be random chance? And you start to recognize it's not, after you have enough of those experiences. But that's the first experience that a truther comes to on the true path of searching for God. Because once you discover, oh shit, there's like an intelligence creating these coincidences, you start to search for the source of that intelligence and understand the cause and effect relationship between your end of the synchronicity, how we were just talking about that, and their end of the synchronicity, how that bus passed by with that billboard on the side that fucking was talking about what we were just talking about. You discover there's a relationship between these events that coincide between what you're talking about and thinking and doing, and then what reality presents to you, that makes you realize this is a synchronicity and a coincidence that's coordinated and orchestrated by a higher intelligence up here. And you try and search for the source of that intelligence and the cause and effect relationship between your inputs and the environmental outputs that come to you in the form of your experience. That's the search for God. That's what a truther is. That's why I call myself Jeffrey Christ. Christ is synonymous with truth, right? He said, I am the truth, like the embodiment of truth. And the personification of truth. So if you're a real truther, then you're a real Christian. Right? Well, most people aren't. We live in a world where truther is a pejorative, a derogatory terminology that you call someone to make fun of them. What is the alternative to being a truther? A liar. And they all love the lie so much that they were given a strong delusion, and they believed every bit of it. And they called anyone who didn't love the lie a truther. And that was a big insult. You didn't want to be called a truther by the normies. Yeah, it was a strange time. Like a story that I'm telling of an unknown world that's so bizarre and foreign to anything we could imagine. But it's the actual reality of what we're experiencing. Yeah, it was a strange time. We lived in a time where everyone loved the lie so much. They called people that didn't love it, they called them truthers, and they like witch hunted them and shit. Tried to throw them in concentration camps called COVID camps. And just by calling someone a truther, it completely discredited them and alienated and ostracized and outcast them. And no one wanted to be called a truther. It was like the worst thing you could be called. Imagine telling this to someone who doesn't live in our society. They would go, what the fuck? So anyone who speaks the truth is persecuted by everyone else who believes something other than the truth on like every subject? So much so that they just call these guys in general truthers? That kind of world could never exist and be inverted where everything that's false. Oh yeah, the CIA, he said, we'll know our job is done when everything the American people believe is false. And they run around and persecute anyone who speaks what is true. To uphold the lie and the falsehood. And defend it and protect it. And persecute and prosecute anyone who threatens the lie. Then we will know our job is done. I think you guys did a pretty fucking good job. I think you're there. Yep. As a recipient of that witch hunt, by those people who you programmed to prosecute and exterminate any purveyors of truth, not under some guy's terminology, under the terminology truther. Anyone who is a purveyor of truth will be persecuted in this society. That's beyond Orwellian. That's beyond 1940s Germany. That's upside down world. What's her name who fell down the rabbit hole? Type of strangeness of a world we could never comprehend if we hadn't been experiencing it ourselves for the last 20 years. Since the day when it all happened and that terminology was born. It started out as a 9/11 truther. And then it expanded. Handy Sook truthers. NASA moon landing truthers. And they expanded their territory to so many subjects that just about everything has its variety and its a congregation of truthers surrounding that subject saying, nuh-uh, I call bullshit. And those are the crazy guys. And the normies defend and protect the truth in a form of tribalism. The truth that they know, which has actually been shown false by the truthers. So they alienate and ostracize and outcast those guys and say that what they're peddling is just conspiracy theories, craziness, tinfoil hat, and is to be disregarded and given zero credibility by us normies. And the rest of them say, amen. I vow to point out any one of these tinfoil hat motherfuckers if they don't tell the line on our narrative of what we saw on CNN. And we will call them out and we will try to get them fired from their jobs. And we will humiliate them in the neighborhood so that other normie defender and protectors of mainstream brainwash can know who their neighbor is and treat them accordingly. Yeah, your neighbor over there? I'm doxing him. What are you doxing him for? He's a truther. He believes in these tinfoil hat conspiracy theories on this website and that website. You see, here's the comments he made. Now it's your job to treat him accordingly as a neighbor. Give him that neighborly treatment. Knowing that he's trying to undermine our worldview. And we need to keep it intact by exterminating any like his type. They're dangerous with their misinformation and disinformation. We need to eradicate them. These anti-vaxxers are creating hesitation. Injection hesitation by the normal population. They're a danger. We need to get rid of them. They should be arrested, the officials are saying now. Any purveyors of disinformation and misinformation must be arrested. This is no longer acceptable. That's the crazy down the rabbit hole world of Alice in Wonderland that we live in. Where everything that is known by the general population is a lie, and the small population that pursues the truth is hunted by those lovers and purveyors and protectors and defenders of the lie. That's crazy. Like storybook crazy. You couldn't even write an Alice in Wonderland upside down world novel that anyone gave any sort of second glance, because it would be so outlandish that it wouldn't even make sense. That's the thing about fiction. It kind of has to make sense. Our reality doesn't have to make sense. It can be so outlandish, and the more outlandish, the better, because then people won't even believe it's really happening. They'll be like, ha, that kind of outlandish upside down world where everything's false and the people persecute anyone who pursues what is true. That's just Orwellian 1984. The book Fahrenheit 454, where they burn all the books, and the firefighters say, I remember a time I read in a book when firefighters put out the fires, but now we're running around starting the fires and creating the fires and capitalizing on being the only ones able to put it out, and anyone else comes along and tries to put it out, we stop them dead in their tracks and say, I'll have you arrested. I remember when firefighters used to put out fires, and now we're doing the exact opposite. In that movie, in that book, that's what happened. In our reality, that's what we see happening. I showed you that in a recent video, where they say you're interfering with our operation if you put out that fire. The firemen show up to stop you from putting out the fire. That's the world we live in. And if you bring that to anyone's attention, they'll say, I got one over here. I got one over here. Hey, everyone come. We got a 10-foot-high truther over here. The hardest truth for them to accept and understand is that which would require them to change their ways, and they're not willing to do it. So you can show them the truth all you want about themselves. But we got better ways of doing that through these experiences and sequences of world events that wake people up, like Sandy Hook and the day the word truther was born. The same people that pulled off that operation have been pulling off all these other operations that have expanded the word truther into every sector of society and been showing you the truth. Yet you demonize the people that gave birth to the word truther with that very first experience that cracked your cosmic egg and shattered your self-image and worldview and broke you down in order to build you back up. That's part of an initiation. And they've continued breaking you down by showing you all these other operations that have so many overlaying similarities. You know it's the same people doing it. And you now live in a world where they pursue the truthers. And when you bring it to their attention, they want to lynch you, burn you at the stake. You keep trying to do it your way and blaze your own trail. And if you have any success, we'll add your success that you had to our formula of what we do. In fact, every single one of you that successfully woke up in the process of one of our operations, we use you as a template to format our future operations to produce the same results. Again, using the characteristics and the quality of your experience that woke you up, we try to replicate that experience, again, for someone else, on a massive scale, for many people, in future operations. Each one of you is the template and the format that we use for the next operation, because you've been the success story. You want to help us keep perpetuating these operations, or you want to run around and try and wake everyone up yourself and do it your way? That's what the cop told me in Independence. I know you're here for a reason, and that you've been trying to do things your own way for a while. But this guy's just in his driveway at 4 a.m. trying to get to work. There's been many of these people that demonstrate to me, just like the guy at the hot springs, that they're like backstage actors on the Truman Show. Like the ladies of Elysium, when I said I gotta go back and get these kids to the garden, she said, no, I got the kids, don't worry about it, baby. Back and forth, we went 3 or 4 times on that. Till finally she got me out of the car and leaned forward her back seat and showed me a couple kids. Said, I got the kids. Don't worry, just come hang with us. I said, no, I got to go get these kids back to the garden. That's great you got those, but I got these others I got to go and get. And she's like, all right. let me get your number. Maybe I'll talk to you later. But she insisted and showed me a normal person doesn't respond to another person saying they got to go get some kids and take them to some garden and say, don't worry about it, I got those kids. In the normal world, if they were just real people talking about real kids, the other person would say, what do you mean? You got my kids that I got to go get to kindergarten or whatever. How could you possibly have them? You don't even know who I'm talking about or what kids I'm referring to, but you're insisting to me that you've got it taken care of? In the real world, that's not a response anyone would give. Only someone from backstage on the Truman Show, one of these gang stalker types that's trying to get you to come learn some shit. And don't worry, we got those kids. You want to try and do it your way? You want to run around and shout from the rooftops for another 6 years? You fucking go right ahead. But I'm trying to tell you, I got the kids. Just come with us. But I insisted on coming back and trying to do it my way for another 5, 6 years, so I get it now. I get it. Next time I won't be rejecting the offer. I'll be like, all right, let's go backstage. You show me how these monkeys are controlled and what the levers are of power. Like on the Truman Show, the guy that's in the control room, he's like God. He controls the sun, moon, and stars. Like in the movie Hunger Games, from the control room, they can push a button and make some hellhounds appear, or a burning tree fall over, or a fireball cross your path from in the control room. But once you go backstage, you can never really come back out on stage with the other Trumans and really interact with them as someone who doesn't know, with ignorance and mystery still intact. You can never get that innocence back. So enjoy it while it lasts. Enjoy that innocence while it lasts, because childhood's end is just around the corner. I've referenced the movie and the book and the TV series Childhood's End enough times. I don't think I need to re-describe what it's about. But once you know, you can't unknow. So extending the childhood period is actually a gift and a blessing and a favor. So enjoy it while it lasts. So basically what I'm saying is that y'all got to raise your vibe or you ain't going to ascend to 5D with the Galactic Federation of Light. I got to throw in some shit like that just so I sound like one of those crazy tards and get thrown up into the mix. Hide and camouflage myself amongst the cannon fodder of bullshit that's out there. And y'all got to use your discernment to know what's bullshit and what's not. That's why it's a process of self-selection. And being able to see bullshit is part of being a truther. And a lot of things, when you call bullshit, your population peers around, you're going to say, you don't believe fucking St. Fauci? He said it's safe and effective. So did Bill Gates. What, do you think you're smarter than them? And you got to be willing to stand up to that witch hunting tribe around you and say, yeah, I'm not doing that. And you saw how difficult it was. You got to be willing to wear the Kali mask and let them, get all scared and say, yeah, I'm the bad guy. I might be the super spreader. You're right. I'm the super spreader. Fucking super spreader. It's like being a terrorist sympathizer. This guy's part of them. He's spreading the terror. He's infected with that radical Islam. Right? There's this boogeyman running around infecting everyone. And this guy over here, I think he's a super spreader. He won't take the vax or wear a mask. He's got to be one of the super spreaders. And he's got people over to his house. And none of them are wearing masks either. They're having super spreader events over there. I was just calling to let you guys know on the hotline of who's breaking the ordinance of the C-19 policy that's being enforced. And they'd send the cops. That witch hunt was real. That wasn't a metaphor. And now all those people who were calling the cops on their neighbors, the COVID cops, who were demonstrating that the law enforcement officers and all the judges were under the authority and the dictates and being given orders by a higher authority of the medical institution. And they were following the edicts and dictates of the health department, who said that the police officer and the judge must arrest you for these new ordinances, these decrees, these laws that were being introduced and enacted and enforced out of nowhere. A new sheriff in town flexed his muscle, and you didn't even know that there was this kind of an authority in an institution and a department that could exercise their authority over all these other departments and make the cops come arrest you for not wearing a mask. And it happened. There's a lot of people out there with video. I've got subscribers to my channel that show themselves. I don't think he got arrested, but I would have. I couldn't have held my tongue like he did. They would call the cops for not wearing a mask. You didn't stand on a little spot. In the grocery store, there's little stickers where you're supposed to stand, 6 feet apart, social distance. This guy's going the wrong way down the aisle. Doesn't he see the new arrows on the floor? It's a one-way aisle to walk down, and you got to walk down the other aisle if you go in that direction. You got to walk around and come down this way on the aisle. And this guy's just walking the wrong way, like he's a super spreader over here. And you saw this happen all around you, you're like, holy fuck. These people are like kindergartners. We don't even train kindergartners like that strictly. Like, here, walk on this spot and then that spot and stand on these spots. And these people are conforming and demanding it out of their peers. Saying, I'm going to stand on my spot, and I'm going to make sure the guys standing in front of me and behind me in line are both standing on their spots. And if they're not, I'm going to say something. Excuse me, sir. Can you see the spot? These are the people around you, and you never knew they could be turned on like a flipping a switch. And suddenly weaponized retards are all around you telling you, wear a mask, get out of the store. What, I can't buy a soda? No, we're not going to take your money. I'll call the cops. You walk out of here with that soda and just leave that $2. They showed us that they can be weaponized and turned on and programmed and directed against the bad guy, the witch hunt. And it was you, truther. You super spreader of disinformation and misinformation. We're making laws to arrest people like you from now on the internet, you know. Yeah. People are getting arrested for making memes now. Yeah, that's really happening. Paul Joseph Watson covers it all the time. Salty Cracker covers it all the time. Yeah. We cracking down on that war against truthers. It's a new war on terrorism. Those domestic violent, homegrown domestic terrorists, those are the greatest threat to our society. And it starts out with the weaponized thinking. So they're going to the crime think. This guy's got a crime think on his website. These things that he's saying, we need to arrest him before he does something. Pre-crime. Like the movie Minority Report. We got it all ran through the AI, and it says you're going to commit a crime. Just your basic psychology, your social demographic, all the things you've said. We got a psychological profile on you. And the AI says that you're like 93% likelihood that you're going to commit this crime or that crime. So we're just going to arrest you beforehand. And everyone else has got a 90+ percentile on anything, and suddenly they all get fucking... I hear no truth, see no truth, speak no truth. I love to lie, and anyone saying anything besides it around me, I'm fucking calling the COVID cops on them. I'm wearing my mask. I'm taking my vax. It's getting real out there, folks. InfoWars is real, upstream from the lived experience of the people. And you're looking at these wizards upstream, applying their stimulus into the water that hits downstream on the mass population, and you end up in this wave of people around you that are telling you to wear your mask and roll up your sleeve. And you can see these wizards making those ripples upstream that come down and hit all the population of your peers and steer them in this direction or that direction with these events like the Handy Sook and the towers and the C-19 and the whatever they're doing now, the fucking Ketchup Gate where what's his name got a pierced ear. Yeah, he made it great again. And you can see how they're just making these puppets dance with these operations. You're like, oh my God. I live in the midst of total morons. They can't see any of it. They can't see the trees burning around them from the inside. How are they ever going to see the shit on TV? That shit ain't real, that it's WWE if they can't see the trees around them burning from the inside. And finally you get sick of living with the tards at this level. You're like, okay, Illuminati, Freemasons, do your thing. I want to see it. Bring the next wave. Flood this place. Make it cleansed by fire. Whatever you're going to pull. Some Phoenix stuff. Let's see it. From the ash heap comes a new one. Start over, empty out the petri dish. This consciousness is like the movie Idiocracy, where it went to shit over the course of, I think it was supposed to be 100 years, a couple hundred years. We've gone full idiocracy. Those of us truthers are like the people from 100 years ago that are looking around us. They're like, hey, this guy thinks he's smart. He knows like words and stuff. And we're seeing that movie Idiocracy came true in like 20 years. From the time it was made, what was it, in like the 90s? Maybe we're going on 30 years now. But we're full idiocracy, and that was supposed to, even in the movie, take a couple hundred years, and they were froze cryogenically from the past. As normal, average people, they scored the most average on all their tests, and that's why they were chosen for the cryogenic stasis. They got sent a couple hundred years into the future, and then the great trash avalanche woke up the two people in cryostasis from 100 years before that were totally average. Suddenly they were the smartest people around, and they looked around them, and everyone had gotten stupid. Culture had degraded. He's like, I'm baiting, go away. And it depicted the society that we see now. It's like the computer, the online world accelerated the degradation and the acceleration toward that end unsustainable world where they can't even get the crops to grow because we got Brondo on it, and that's got what plants crave. Just watch the commercial. Don't you know it's got what plants crave? And you're telling us we ought to put like water from the toilet in there? We're there. The weaponized retards around us are so far gone that the guys upstream controlling them with the little stimulus they put up in upstream that manifests in a reality of experience and a wave of retards moving in this direction or that direction. It's gone full idiocracy in 20 years, however long since that movie was made. Oh, shit. And those of us that were just average intelligence before are looking around us like we're the smartest people alive, and we're like a very small population, and everyone else has gone full retard. And that's what Glenn Beck said. He said heroes throughout history aren't made because they choose to be a hero. They just choose not to go over the cliff with the rest of society. When everyone else acts crazy and starts running over a cliff, they say, no, I'm not going over that cliff with you. That's crazy. What the fuck is wrong with all of you? And suddenly they're a hero in history. But at the time, they were just an average person that chose not to go swerve off the cliff with everyone else. And that's what the truthers are. People who went from being just average people that didn't swerve off the cliff, and now we're looking at everyone else going, what the fuck happened? Why are we surrounded by retards? How did they idiocratify everyone in 20 years? And I'm just the same average person I've always been, but suddenly I'm smarter than everyone around me. They're all fucking idiots and retards. And they're dancing to the tune of this weaponized propaganda, and they don't see it as such. They're like, yeah, Trump this and fucking NASA that. And you're like, oh my God, yeah. Everything you see on TV, they all move in the direction that it sways them. And you're just like looking at it going on around you in shock and awe and amazement of the effectiveness of the control of these wizards upstream that drop their stimulus into the water, and it flows and circulates into the consciousness of everyone around you, and you're surrounded in a tidal wave and a whirlwind of idiots being moved in one direction or another by the stimulus response. And you're like, oh my God. Sometimes I just wish I was just like them and didn't see this shit happening and just swished and swayed the way the wizards tell us to every day on CNN, and couldn't see the weaponized propaganda and didn't stand out. That way I could blend in and be one of the tribe and one of the hive. Like the song says, drive. When I decide to hold my own and drive and forfeit my opportunity to be one of the hive,